Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me for this options information briefing for parents and carers. My name's Mr. Roberts. I'm the deputy head teacher at the school, and I oversee the quality of education. So everything relating to what your child learns in lessons is something that I oversee. Tonight, we're going to go through the exciting process that your child is now beginning of picking their options. It's quite a complicated process at points, so obviously I want to go through step by step how we navigate this, but there'll be plenty of your support for your child on the way. And obviously it's a great time in your child's educational career where they actually get to finally take some ownership over what they're going to be studying, start thinking about their careers when they leave school, and start thinking about the sorts of areas they might want to go into as they get a bit older. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to present to you a PowerPoint presentation, which I've been assured should work in a minute if I can use the technology correctly. I'll go through that PowerPoint, which will outline an overview of the entire options process. I'll then go through some frequently asked questions, and if anyone has any questions at the end as well, I'll try and go through some of them. Just bear with me one moment and I'll put the presentation on for you. Okay, and hopefully you can see that screen in front of you now. So obviously, recently we had our Ofsted inspection back in October, and we were very happy with the result. And in particular, we were happy with the evaluation of our curriculum. Ofsted praised the fact that the options available within our school are broad and varied, and they felt that there was a nice mix of academic and other vocational, creative, technical courses available for our pupils, which meant everyone could pursue their interests and pursue their talents. So we feel that over the last few years, as we've rebuilt our curriculum, it's a very exciting time for your child to be beginning their Key Stage 4 journey, because we feel now we have a really strong curriculum that's going to offer your child a lot of different opportunities, which we hope they're going to enjoy over the next few years and really get a lot out of in years 9 up until the end of year 11. So the key aims of tonight is to give you some initial information about the options process and how that works, to explain to you what the pathways mean, because there are several different pathways from year 7 to 11, and also to outline the support that will be available for your child over the next month or two. So first of all, I'm going to talk you through our curriculum intent for all of our pupils at Woodlands School, and it's all based around our vision of ARROW: aspiration, resilience, opportunity, and excellence. We want our pupils to be aspirational. That means whatever they decide to do when they leave us at the end of year 11, we want to make sure that they're going in to the best possible career. That might mean they go to Russell Group University one day. It might mean that they're going for a higher apprenticeship, or it might just be high-level employment going straight into the workplace, both in London and further afield. We want to make sure through our curriculum that our pupils gain the cultural capital they need to ensure they become well-rounded, well-informed individuals who seize the same opportunities as their peers from a wide range of different backgrounds as they go into the working world. And we want to make sure that they pick up those vital life skills that are required to excel and flourish in adult life. We also want to make sure that our pupils are resilient. Okay, resilience is a very important thing for a young person to learn and to develop through their time at school. We want them to be emotionally and physically healthy and know how to keep themselves safe in the modern world. But we also want them to have the resilience to cope with setbacks. School is a place where it is a safe place to fail, to learn from your mistakes, to improve and get better. And that's an important skill we want our young people to learn before they leave us and go out into the world where they will have challenges and they will have setbacks that they need to rise to. We also want our pupils to take opportunities. All of the opportunities we have here available in school. Part of that's, of course, being highly literate and numerate. Maths and English are incredibly important in the curriculum, being able to use their literacy and numeracy in new contexts, but also to be excellent orators. The number one desired trait for an employer in a recent survey was the ability to communicate effectively, to be able to speak well. So we try and encourage that within our curriculum. But also we want to provide opportunities for our pupils to get outside of their comfort zone, do things that they haven't done before, so that when they do leave school, they're comfortable taking on new challenges and working in new contexts. And ultimately, we want them to be excellent. That might mean excellence in the sense of academia. We want them to study a wide range of subjects with a strong academic core, but whatever their ambitions are, whether it's vocational, creative, technical, or academic, we want them to succeed and do well in those all-important exams at the end of year 11. It's not just about the exams, though. We want them to be experts in their subjects, and we want our pupils to love the subjects they learn. We want them to appreciate the value of lifelong learning and develop those metacognitive skills, that ability to reflect on their learning and know how they're going to improve. So all of our curriculum is underpinned by this underlying vision of Arrow. And I hope tonight, once I've gone through some of this, you'll see how that sort of plays out as your child moves on towards year 9 and then Key Stage 4. So the aims of our Key Stage 4 curriculum is to make sure that it's an inclusive curriculum for our pupils with special educational needs and disabilities, and making sure they access an enriching, broad and balanced curriculum, but also that we have a wide variety of subjects to choose from, allowing pupils to personalize their learning, pick the things that they really are interested in and the things that they care about. We want to make sure we get the right pupils on the right subjects. That doesn't just mean, are they doing something that they enjoy? Of course, that's important, but also, is it something that they feel they can succeed in? Is it right for their career aspirations? Making sure that they're doing the right course for them. There is academic rigor there, and everyone will be challenged at the appropriate level to get the best grades possible. There will be greater maths and English support there for those pupils that need it, as those two qualifications, as we all know, are especially important. And we have a meaningful Arrow, our PSHE curriculum, that develops the whole child. Okay, our pupils learn more than just what they get out of their GCSEs and their level 2 qualifications. We teach them about adult life, how to prepare for that, and some of the challenges that they may face. So you may have noticed, and you may have other children who are older in the school or have already left school, that the GCSE grades did change a few years ago. They now operate on a system of 9 to 1. You might think, well, why has that been changed? Partly probably to make our lives all difficult, but also the idea behind that is grade 9 is now the highest grade. So if they eventually want to add a grade beyond that, maybe a grade 10 eventually, they may well do that. But what does it mean for us? Well, in the old money, if you like, when a lot of us would have done our qualifications, effectively, you can see on the screen there what the new grades amount to. So effectively, a grade 4 now is like a traditional C, what we call a standard pass. Grade 5 is a strong pass. That's kind of seen as like a C+ or a B-. And a grade 7 is what we would have called an A back in the day. Now, the government recognises the grade 4 as a pass in a GCSE subject. However, lots of employers and lots of universities and colleges often ask for a grade 5 because that's seen as what's called a strong pass. Now with GCSEs these days, all assessments are at the end for all courses are at the end of year 11, and exams form 100% of the assessment in most subjects. There are still some qualifications you can complete though, where coursework and controlled assessments still form part of the assessment. But the large majority of courses these days do have majority exam-based assessment. You'll notice as well that some of the qualifications you'll learn about tonight are called what's called level 2 qualifications. Essentially, these are GCSE equivalents. They are recognised just as much as GCSEs. They are vocational courses. They're the ones that often contain more non-exam assessments, things like coursework or controlled assessment. They're still accepted by colleges and sixth forms, but how much each grading is worth is slightly different, and we have it on the screen there. So a level 2 pass in a level 2 qualification is the equivalent of a grade 4 at GCSE, and you can see the other values there. So if you have more questions about level 2 qualifications, I'll be happy to answer them towards the end. Now, on this screen, you can see from the Department for Education what we call the Progress 8 measure. Now, all children in England and Wales need to follow what we call the 3 buckets in their education when they select their options. That means they must study English and maths in bucket 1. Those subjects are double weighted, and you'll notice your child has more hours of English and maths because those qualifications are so important. There is then a second bucket, bucket 2, which consists of sciences, humanities like history and geography, and languages and computer science. Pupils must study a minimum of 3, a combination of 3 of those subjects. So combined science in our school counts for 2 GCSEs, and they must study a minimum of a humanities and a language on top of that. Then we also have bucket 3, and that's where all of the other qualifications that your child can select go. So all pupils must have all of those buckets filled, and that's what forms a lot of the decisions we make regarding the curriculum. So this is what the curriculum looks like in Year 9. This is what your child will be studying in Year 9. So as you can see, we have a red pathway and we have a blue pathway, and I'll explain more about that in a minute. There are 4 hours for maths, English and science in the red pathway, 2 hours for their modern foreign language. Pupils will study both geography and history, but it'll be in a 3-1 split. Okay, so they will choose which one they want to study more of, geography or history. The reason they do both in Year 9 is because they're still finishing elements of the Key Stage 3 curriculum. And then in Year 10, they will choose which one of those two they want to pursue until the end of Year 11. They do an hour of PE, an hour of Arrow, which is the PSHE curriculum, and an hour of citizen religion and ethics, which is a core part of the curriculum. They then have 2 hours with the 2 options that they will be picking, and these are what we call free options. They're options they can select whatever subjects they want from the list, and they have 2 hours of that. The blue pathway is very similar. I'm going to explain a bit more about that now. So first of all, what does inform our pathway recommendations? Well, a lot of it comes from primary school, from Key Stage 2 scores, recommendations from the primary school on what curriculum a pupil should follow. It's the current progress the pupil is making. And we also get advice from the aspirations faculty, our SEND department, as well as some pastoral information. But effectively, a lot of pupils who go on to be on the blue pathway in Year 9 are already on the blue pathway in Year 7 and Year 8. So you may already be aware of that. So the red pathway, first of all, is what we call the English Baccalaureate, or the EBAC. This is an academic government recommended curriculum which keeps young people's options open for further study and future careers. The government basically ambition is for the majority of pupils to be studying what we call the EBAC. Every pupil on the red pathway during Year 9 will be following that EBAC curriculum. And that consists of maths, English language and literature, combined science, a modern foreign language, and either history or geography. As I explained on the last few slides though, in Year 9, pupils will study both history and geography, but they will focus on one of them more than the other. And then in Year 10, they will have chosen which one to take until the end of Year 11. We then have and then the red pathway here, this is what the options form is going to look like. And I'm going to talk about how you receive that options form in a minute. Essentially, you'll have the core subjects that pupils want to study at the top of this form. Pupils will then have a long list of subjects to choose from. They select 2 options, 3 options. They can pick any of those 2 that they want, apart from a few combinations that you can't do. And then they will pick 2 reserve options as well. So they effectively have 4 subjects to pick there, 2 that they want to do and 2 that they want as a reserve. Pupils then select for their 3-1 humanities focus. They tell us would they rather focus more on history and have 3 hours of that, more on geography and have 3 hours of that, or if they have no preference. Whichever humanities they don't select, they will do 1 hour of that next year anyway. The blue pathway is a smaller pathway, which a small number of our pupils end up on, and that's suitable for some of our pupils with special educational needs or disabilities. Pupils will study the same core curriculum as the red pathway, but they receive an extra hour in English and maths to support them in those 2 crucial subjects. They also won't study history and geography. They will study 3 hours of humanities in Year 9, but they do receive an additional qualification at the end of Year 9. They receive an entry-level certificate in history, so they get a qualification at the end of Year 9. They'll also study an hour of Spanish in Year 9 as well. But just like the red pathway, they will also select 2 free options, which they can pick whatever they want. So it's exactly the same as the red pathway when it comes to picking those options. So the blue pathway form will look like this. The core subjects blue pathway pupils will study will be at the top. And then pupils select 2 free options from the list there, and they pick 2 reserve options. The only difference is they don't need to make any choice between history or geography, because they'll be doing the history entry-level qualification. So these are the options available. I won't talk through all of them now because you're going to get an options booklet both sent to you tomorrow, and your child will receive a paper version in Tutor Group in Tutor Time tomorrow. But essentially, those are all of the options we have available, and they're the ones people select from, where they need to select 2 that they want to study and then 2 reserves. The ones with the asterisks next to them, those are options that require an options assessment to be sat in order for the child to pursue that subject. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So, options assessments. If pupils opt for a subject which has been identified as particularly challenging, they may be required to sit a short options assessment later in the term. That's nothing to worry about. It's simply a short assessment to see whether a pupil will be able to meet the demands of the course. So it's not a big test. It's nothing to worry about. It's about half an hour at a lunchtime, and it kind of tries the pupils out with the sorts of questions that they might get in an exam in Year 11, just to see if it's the right sort of course for them. Teachers will mark those and will discuss any concerns they have with pupils well in advance of final decisions being made. And we will offer some advice to pupils who might want to consider a similar alternative course. For all of the subjects that have an options assessment, we do have an alternative option available as well that they could look at. These will be clear, and you'll know if there's an options assessment for each subject, because they'll have an asterisk on the options form as well, so you'll be aware of that. And just so you know, just so moving forward, what it looks like in the Year 10 and Year 11, the curriculum changes slightly again. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. But essentially, in Year 10, your child will be on a 2-week timetable. And as part of that, the changes that come in is they pick up an extra hour per fortnight of their languages, because that's quite a demanding subject. Obviously, they don't continue to study geography and history. They then pick to do one of those, and they will have 2.5 hours a week. So they'll have 3 hours one week and 2 hours the next. They continue to have an hour of PE and Arrow. The CRE curriculum does cease at that point, and they pick up an additional hour per fortnight for the options. This is because at that point, the GCSE curriculum has begun. So obviously, they need a little bit more focus on those subjects. You'll notice there as well, the purple and blue pathway curriculum looks a little bit different as well. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So the red pathway, as I said, pupils will cease to study citizenship, religion and ethics, because by the end of Key Stage 3, that's no longer a national requirement, and they will then pick up an extra hour of science. That's important because in science, pupils get 2 GCSEs rather than 1, and some pupils actually get 3 GCSEs in science. So it's important they get the hours for that. They'll also have an extra hour, as I said, for each of the option subjects over the 2 weeks, and they'll have decided out of the humanities subjects, history or geography, which one they're going to pursue further. The blue pathway curriculum, pupils will cease to study citizenship, religion, and ethics. They'll cease to study Spanish, and they'll cease to study humanities once they've got that qualification in Year 9. They'll also pick up an extra hour of science each week, and they'll also have an extra hour per fortnight for their option subjects. But for the blue pathway, in Year 10, pupils pick up a third free option, so a third option they can pick from, and they can pick from 4 subjects: Level 2 Sports Studies, GCSE Triple Science at foundation level, Level 2 Retail Business, or VCERT Music Technology. So effectively, those pupils can take a third option at the start of Year 10. Why that's important is if they think, oh, I'm likely to want to take one of those 4 subjects in Year 10, then it might be that they don't pick it in Year 8 to start in Year 9 if they know they weren't likely to pick it up in Year 10 anyway. So that's something to bear in mind, and I can give more advice on that over the next few weeks. You'll have noticed as well, we had another new pathway come in called the purple pathway, and that begins in Year 10. At the end of Year 9, teachers will advise who should complete the EBAC curriculum and stay on that red pathway, and those that will move to the purple pathway instead. If a pupil moves to the purple pathway, this means they will drop either their humanities subject or their modern foreign language, but they have to continue with one. Instead of doing that, they will select one further option from, again, Level 2 Sports Studies, Level 2 Retail Business, VCERT Music Technology, or GCSE Triple Science. That will be the foundation paper for Triple Science, which means they will be able to get up to a grade 5. The reason we do this is quite simply to ensure all pupils achieve the best possible grades. If it looks like either in your youngsters' language or in their humanities subject that they may not pass by the end of year 11, according to our teacher's professional opinion, they will advise us that it may be worth them picking up a third bucket 3 option that they can take over those 2 years of year 10 and year 11. Now, that choice is at the teacher's discretion. The teacher decides who moves on to the purple pathway, but no pupil will be forced to. If your child, for example, we recommend that perhaps they drop Spanish to go onto the purple pathway, but they're very keen to carry on with Spanish, they will be allowed to do so, because at the end of the day, it's the qualifications. The reason we do that is it means that pupils can get the best possible grades. Because they pick up another GCSE to finish in year 10 and year 11, they will still receive the same number of qualifications as those on the red pathway, and they still have the breadth of subjects that they study, still meet the government requirements as I outlined earlier. And just a reminder there, that's what that curriculum looks like. So as you can see, the purple and the blue pathways, they then have 3 options that they've selected because they'll have dropped either their language or their humanities subjects. So there's a few pitfalls to avoid. First of all, picking a subject because you like the teacher. Okay, we do get some pupils that sometimes do this. Now, what you need to bear in mind is sometimes teachers may, for whatever reason, they may not be teaching that course anymore. Teachers get promoted and go to and move to another school, or they might move to another role within the school. Teachers get ill. Anything could happen over those 3 years. You need to pick the subject because you love the subject itself and you want to do it, not because it's your favorite teacher. Also, picking a subject because your friends are doing it. It's really important. This is your career. This is your future. Okay, the decisions you make are going to have a bit of an impact on what you're going to be able to do when you're older. So it'd be quite silly to pick something just because your friend's in it. Pick something that is for you and for your future. Picking a subject because you think it is easier. All subjects at level 2 in GCSE are challenging, okay, in different ways. It might be that there are certain subjects you find easier than others, and that's important to think about, but there are no easy options at this point. Another big pitfall is if pupils miss the options taster sessions. There'll be lots of like taster lessons over the next few weeks. It's vital that pupils know which days they need to go to the subjects they're interested in, and they attend to see what they're like. Also, if they have an options assessment after half term, it's really important they turn up. Last year, some pupils failed to turn up for their options assessment, therefore they weren't allowed to study the subject. So they must bear in mind when those are. Pupils need to be careful they don't assume a subject will be the same in year 9 to 11 as it has been in years 7 and 8, because subjects can change quite a lot. They need to get advice from their teachers about how they change. And this is the big one. Don't pick your options too early in this process. We have lots of pupils that pick their options when they first get the form. They're quite excited about it, but then they change their mind after going to some taster sessions. Okay, and that means that the whole process gets quite confusing if pupils enter the form several times. So that's for that reason, by the way, we don't give out the options form until pupils have seen all of the assemblies over the next 2 weeks. But also not discussing your choices with anyone. This is a really important decision. This is the next 3 years of your life, and these are qualifications that you're going to take with you into adult life for a long time ahead. So it's important you discuss them, whether it's someone at home, whether it's someone in school. Make sure you talk to someone. Don't just make the choices on your own without really having a chat about it. I'm just going to go through some FAQs that often come up. And if there are any more questions after that, I'll be happy to take them as well. But sort of here's some of the main things that I've been asked. So what should pupils consider when they select their options? Well, they need to find out all the information, as much information as they can about the subjects they're considering choosing. The options information booklet is perfect for this. Loads of information from your teachers in there. Read it through carefully. Bear in mind, as I said, that subjects are not the same at Key Stage 4 as they are in Key Stage 3, so you need to ask about that. They should choose subjects they enjoy doing, and they should choose subjects that fit their learning needs. But also, crucially, pick subjects that you think you can do well in. If you think, oh, I've got a talent for that, actually, it's something I'm really good at, then pick something that you're likely to get a decent grade in. Some people ask us, why do pupils start their options in year 9? I've been at other schools and they seem to start in year 10. It can vary. As I said, we got that quote there from Ofsted. They obviously reviewed our curriculum recently, and they liked the fact that Year 9s begin to study subjects they've chosen. And there's a nice wide open choice. Now, there's a few reasons we do that. One, we fulfill the majority of the Key Stage 3 national curriculum by the end of Year 8. So we completed most of the Key Stage 3 national curriculum by that point. We don't have gimmicks in Year 9 where people do sort of carousels of subjects or anything like that. We want them to get down to having a personalized curriculum where they've taken ownership and they've started to say, these are the subjects I want to do, and we want to give our pupils that ownership over their learning. Because these subjects are challenging, these option subjects, we also want to provide the 3 years rather than the 2 for them to study that subject so they can benefit from a greater depth of knowledge. Of course, GCSE results are important, but it's not the only thing. We want our pupils to be subject experts. And by having 3 years where they learn about that course, that gives them a real depth of knowledge for their study. Year 9 is not a GCSE year. The courses pupils study in Year 9 are pre-GCSE. They are introducing pupils to the subject so that they will be able to study at GCSE in Year 10 and 11. Okay, so that's a key part. We give a key firm foundation in our subjects before pupils begin them proper for GCSE in Year 10. Why can't my child select a certain combination of subjects? So there are certain subjects you can't take together. That's not because the school won't allow it. It's not possible because Ofqual, who oversee the different courses available, they've deemed certain courses to be too similar to provide pupils with a sufficiently broad curriculum. That means, for example, designing the built environment, architecture, and constructing the built environment, those courses are similar, and therefore they can't be taken together, as Ofqual have decided that wouldn't give pupils a broad enough range of subjects. Now, that has been outlined on the options forms and in the booklet, so you'll be aware of that. Do other schools get to select more options? Sometimes we've been told, well, I've been at other schools and they seem to select a lot more. That can be a bit misleading. Woodlands pupils receive an average of 9 qualifications, which is very typical of schools, because pupils select 2 free options where they can select any subjects they wish. In a lot of schools, there are blocks restricting choice, and you can only pick subjects from a certain block. We allow free reign there. You can pick any 2 that you want. The third option that pupils pick, if you like, is the choice between history and geography, because they're following that EBAC curriculum. So that's their third option. And the fourth option, if you like, is, as I said, the red pathway pupils, they continue to study the modern foreign language they've been doing in Year 7A. Okay, the government has a target of 90% of pupils eventually following the red pathway curriculum. So this is quite standard in schools. In the purple and blue pathways, pupils will select one of those 4 subjects I outlined before, and that will be their fourth option that replaces either their humanities or their language. Can my child study 2 languages or both history and geography? Right, languages and humanities subjects are both in bucket 2, which recognises the academic demand of those courses. They are particularly challenging. There's a great deal of content to get through and skills to be covered. There's a lot of revision and work. We wouldn't normally recommend that people study both history and geography, as that can overburden them when they get to Year 11. There's a lot of revision to do. Likewise, we don't normally recommend that they pick up a second modern foreign language in Year 9, which they may not study for some time. However, again, pupil ownership over their curriculum is important for us, so we will be willing to discuss possible routes with parents and carers if pupils are very, very keen. Okay, if there's a well-considered reason behind that desire. If they want to study the 2 languages, or they want to study both history and geography, you can indicate that on the options form, and we can have a chat about that. Can my child change their options? Now, this is a crucial one. This decision about their options is an important one, which is why we provide pupils with so much support and a long time, over a month, to consider different subjects carefully. And the key thing is, and this might obviously, you might not be aware of this, but once pupils have selected their options, that has a big impact on the school's staffing and rooming decisions for the next academic year. So once this options process is completed, myself, Mr. Wright, knows what subjects we need teachers in, how many rooms we need for certain subjects, how many pupils are going to be in those rooms. We cannot start the timetable until this options process is done. So actually, when those options are decided, that's then our basis for our timetable. So if pupils are then changing their options quite a lot, that becomes very disruptive to us planning for the next academic year. What's more, when pupils want to change their options once courses have begun, that's likely to disrupt their progress quite a lot, and the curriculum of others if teachers have to catch them up. For that reason, we strongly discourage pupils changing their options in Year 9. A point does come where we do refuse requests and we say, I'm sorry, but you can't change options now. That's why it's so important to get this right the first time round and to take the advice that we're giving you over the next few weeks and months. And again, for that reason, we don't send the options form home straight away. We know people are excited, will want to look through the booklet and decide their options, but we have a cooling off period, if you like, 2 weeks where they go to all of the assemblies, they learn about all the subjects, and then we send out the form. Is my child guaranteed to get their chosen options? Well, last academic year, over 95% of pupils got their first 2 choices. We do try wherever possible to make it run. However, there's no guarantee that any course is going to run because there could be staffing changes in the school, timetable changes, course changes, or sometimes a subject doesn't get enough selections to actually run if not enough pupils want to do it. We do have those 2 reserve choices to obviously avoid disappointment. However, if a child cannot take their first 2 options, we will contact you directly. We'll have a chat about what options they have available to them, and we will confirm with you if they're happy to take one of their reserves. So we will contact you directly if that's the case. It's very rare, but it does happen occasionally. Will my child's post-16 or career options be affected by the options they pick for Year 9? Pupils should be starting to think about post-16, whether they want to go sixth form, college, apprenticeship. But at this stage of your school career, the important thing is to have as broad a curriculum as possible through your options choices. So just have a variation of subjects, okay? In making option choice, there are a few careers which will be ruled out because you picked the wrong subject at Key Stage 4, very few. It is true, if you want to study a subject at A level, at sixth form, for example, or college, it's beneficial to have studied it at GCSE, but it's not necessarily a requirement. You don't have to study GCSE psychology to study it at A level, but it would be a benefit. So don't worry too much. It doesn't affect things too badly if you want to change your mind when you get to post-16. Obviously, it helps if you know the sorts of subjects you want to study and you get that foundation during years 9 to 11. So what sort of support will there be available for my child throughout this process? Well, they'll get an options booklet tomorrow, which we'll also send to you. They'll have 10 days of assemblies where different subjects will be coming in to talk about their options. There'll be 2 weeks of options taster sessions at lunch times where pupils can go along and learn a bit more about the subject and see what it's like, do a practice lesson if you like. And we'll give them the schedule for that. During tutor time, they can talk to their tutors about the different options available. They can talk to the heads of department around the school that will be happy to talk to them. And I'm also available to book for appointments. Obviously, we have the Year 8 Parents' Evening coming up on Thursday, the 18th of January. If you want to book an appointment with me, you can do that via the booking system. And also, I'll just be available on the night if you want to catch up informally and have a chat about that. I'll be more than happy to do that. So here's some key dates to remember. So the options assemblies start from Monday, as do the taster sessions at lunchtime. The parents' evening. If there are certain subjects that you know your child is interested in, it may be worth speaking to the teachers who deliver those subjects on the night. They might not necessarily have that teacher this year in Year 8, but if you know that, for example, they're the head of designing the built environment or they're the head of sociology, it may be worth going to speak to them as well. We'll send out the options form to you guys via email. So it's a digital form that you guys fill out with your child. We'll send that out on the 26th. And then the deadline to have options submitted is Thursday, the 15th of February. So just before the half-term break. Okay, so they've had over a month there where they've got lots of information about the options. After we come back after half-term, we then run our options assessments for specific subjects. And then our aim is to get the options choices confirmed to you and your child by the end of the summer term, the spring term, sorry, just before the Easter holidays. So what do you need to do next? Well, discuss with your child what sort of subjects they enjoy, what they feel they're doing well in, what sort of things they may be interested in doing when they leave school. So have a chat about that. Go through the options booklet when you get it tomorrow. Read through the information. You'll have a digital version as well if you need it. Decide which options taster sessions that your child is going to attend. We'll give them a schedule in assembly so they'll know when they are. And if there is any confusion about any of this, just contact me directly via email or book a meeting with me at Parents' Evening, and I'll chat things through with you. And obviously, when your child is sure on their options and you've had that chat and you think that they're happy with them, you complete that options form, which, as I say, will be sent out on the 26th of January. So my email's there as well if you need it. As we say, this is the first point in your child's educational career where they take some ownership, where they actually get to decide and start to shape some of their future. It's an incredibly exciting process, but it's an important one as well that they need to take seriously. So thank you for taking the first step tonight by joining me for the presentation. That's obviously going to be key. And over the next few weeks, if you do need more advice, please do ask me. What I'll do now is I will try to go through some of the questions that might have appeared. A lot of comments going on, but I'll try and see if there are any questions that I haven't answered already. If you do have any specific questions that you feel haven't been answered, please do still put them in the chat. I'll stay on for another 10 minutes or so to talk through all of that. So do feel free to do that. So we've got here, is there an option to help someone become a midwife? Well, basically, get advice from the science department on that. But my advice would be that the science GCSEs that you'll be studying will be a good way to get prepare for a course in midwifery, but also the health and social care qualification that we allow for. That relates a lot to caring for children and caring for babies as well. So if that's something you're interested in, I would recommend level 2 health and social care. Are there any specific dates to be aware of for the rest of the year? Just the dates that I outlined a minute ago, they'll be in the options booklet, and we're going to send this presentation to you tomorrow as well. It'll also be available on the website, so that's got all the dates on for you. The key one is just before the Thursday before half term is when the options form needs to be in. What specific thing can we do for law? If you're interested in studying law at A level or perhaps at degree level, my recommendation would be to study something like history out of history and geography. English will be the crucial GCSEs that you'll get that will help you for a career in law. But if you were very keen on doing something like that, law or politics, another essay-based subject like philosophy or psychology, sociology or citizenship, they would all be applicable for something in law. Citizenship is the subject that covers the legal process and law the most. So if that's something you're specifically interested in, that might be a good one to go for. How long do students have to choose options? Will teachers assess whether it's something that pupils can handle? They have about a month, okay? So from Monday, when the options assemblies start, they have a month to consider them. We give out the form 2 weeks into that, so they kind of already thought about it, and then they can provide the form in. Yes, we will talk to pupils if we have concerns or we want to give them some advice. And the options assessments, ultimately, for those tougher, rigorous exam-based subjects, they're in place as well, just to check, and we will advise you if your child maybe struggled with the options assessment. So that's there to help as well. Are there more languages than French, Spanish, and German? No, we only offer those 3 languages to study at GCSE. Most schools only do 2, but we try and do 3 here. The only thing I will say, if you can speak certain home languages, so if you speak a different language at home and you're very fluent in it, whilst we can't offer lessons in it, we can enter you for a GCSE in that language. It only applies to certain languages. So, but if you are interested in that, speak to the Mrs. Bethel in the languages department, and we can arrange that for you. How many lessons will we have for each option? You'll have, for the options that you're selecting as part of this process, you'll have 2 hours a week in year 9, and then you'll have 2.5 hours a week in years 10 and year 11. And then for your options, for your languages, you'll have 2.5 hours in year 10, 11. Same for your history or geography. You'll have 3 hours of languages in year 9 and a 3-1 split for humanities, but that's how that works. Who is the head of sociology? That is PE teacher Miss Hutton, who teaches sociology alongside PE. So that will be that one there. I'm going to try and go through a few more of these. Yeah, so what will I need to do for childcare? Health and social care will definitely help with that. It focuses a lot on childcare. Is there an assessment for GCSE music? Good question. No, we don't do GCSE music. We offer Visa Music Technology or Trinity Rock and Pop. Trinity Rock and Pop is more performance-based. Visa Music Tech is computer-based. basically your music teachers, or Mr. Turner as the head of music, he will have a chat with you and decide which one of those two courses is better for you. If you prefer performing music and you play an instrument or you sing well, probably the music performance is better for you. If you're more interested in sort of like designing music on a computer, that sort of thing, then it might be more music tech. But there isn't actually an assessment for that. Recommendation, if I want to be a vet, it will be the sciences that are key for that. So making sure, obviously, you get good grades in science. The options you pick other than that shouldn't matter too much. If you wanted to do something like psychology, that may help, but at GCSE level, that won't be as crucial. When you get to A level, if you want to be a vet, you absolutely you need to pick science A levels for that. What is the option for finance? If you're interested in finance, I would probably say business studies or retail business would be the best courses for that. That would be give you a good beginner sort of like foundation. You can study A-level economics and subjects like that, which obviously business will help with at GCSE. Are you looking to add a sign language course to your languages department? Well, this is interesting. The new GCSE has just come out in sign language. We don't have any opportunities for that at the moment, just because we're not sure yet about staff that can speak fluent sign language and things like that. Might be something we consider in the future, but we don't have any plans to do that at the moment, unfortunately. Options for archaeology, that's quite an interesting one. Basically, make sure you do your history GCSE. To be honest with you, things like philosophy, religion, and ethics might help with that, because a lot of archaeology is related to the different religions around the world throughout history. You could pick sociology, because that looks a little bit about how society's changed. But again, at A level, you could pick things like classical civilization and ancient history. So history GCSE would be a good stepping stone towards that. Acting, what about acting? Well, we have the GCSE in drama for that. What option should I choose to be an English teacher? Well, I can help you with that, because that's what my background is. My recommendation would be pick essay-based subjects. So when I was at school, I picked philosophy, religion, and ethics, and I picked citizenship, because they're both heavily essay-based. And obviously, when you're doing English, that's quite important. You could also pick things like sociology would be a good choice. Even drama. Drama has a lot of sort of essay writing, film studies as well. They'd all be good options for that. If you missed the first 10 minutes of the talk, don't worry, because it's going to be recorded and it will be put on the school website. So don't worry about that. What careers can you get from doing art and design? More information about that will be kept in the options booklet. You're probably better off asking Miss Taylor, the head of art, but effectively there's all sorts you could do. You know, it could be anything to do with advertising, fashion. There's a range of different options. They'd probably be better to answer that, but that will be in the booklet as well. What happens if they don't pass the assessments, even if they are passionate about doing that subject? That will be a conversation that we have with you as parent care and as a pupil. Like we said, we will support pupils in the choices they make. They get ownership over it. We are advising sometimes. So if the option assessment hasn't gone well, we will advise you, look, we're not sure that this is the right thing, but we're not going to force people into certain subjects. So that will be a decision based on a one-on-one discussion. Do all subjects have tests to get in? No, it's only the ones with the asterisks next to them, which will be on the options form. That's also outlined in the booklet. What happens if too many students want to do the same subject? We haven't had an issue there where we haven't allowed pupils to do it due to over demand for a course. Because we can normally just run 2 classes of the subject. Occasionally it can happen if there are staffing or rooming limits. It's not done on a first come first serve, so you don't need to rush to get these in. That's not how we do it. We would base that, if it came to it, we would base it on what are the motivations for the pupils studying the course. We would talk to the pupils and see which ones are the most motivated to study that course, but it's definitely not first come first serve, so there's no rush to get these in. What is sports studies? Sports studies is a sports course. It's just an alternative to GCSE PE. The benefit of sports studies is it teaches you a lot about coaching. So there is non-exam assessment. GCSE PE is all assessed. There's a practical assessment and there's an exam. And the exam is quite academic, it's quite science-based. So for some pupils, that's not right. We have sports studies as well. You still do practical elements, you still do all of that, but you do a lot on sport and the media, sports psychology, and sports coaching. And you do some coursework based around setting up a coaching session. So if you're interested in becoming a sports coach, sports studies might be the right subject for you. Mr. Manners, in your PE lessons, if you select the sports courses, you pick, he will then talk to you about whether he thinks GCSE PE is right for you or sports studies is right. And he will make that assessment during your PE lessons. But that's a good question. Options for law. Well, as I said, citizenship is probably your best selection for citizenship. They do like English, history, philosophy as well, if you ever want to apply for law at university. We don't offer a dance GCSE. There are extracurricular opportunities for dance, and we obviously offer the drama GCSE, but unfortunately we don't offer dance at the moment. What are the chances of getting my first choices? And as someone's rightly put, pretty high. 95% plus tend to get their first two choices. We will do everything we can to get you those first two choices. It's just in a few cases where it's literally impossible to do. If you choose art, can you choose drama and a reserved option? Yes, you pick two options and then you pick two reserves. So if you wanted to pick drama and art as your first two, you would then pick two reserves that you can select that you could take if you couldn't take them. But you can absolutely take drama and art in combination. That's not a problem at all. What do you do in film studies? Well, I'll give you a brief overview. I don't teach it myself. Mr. Townsend will be coming into assemblies, I think, on Tuesday next week to talk about it. But effectively, you analyse films. In the same way in English, you analyse books. In film studies, you analyse films. You also, as part of the non-examined assessment, you write your own version, an excerpt of a screenplay. So it's almost like practicing writing your own script for a film, which is quite interesting. So he'll tell you more about that, but that's a great subject. What are the taster sessions? They're just at lunchtime. They are 30-minute mini lessons. So it gives you a flavor of what is this lesson like when you do it at GCSE level. So they'll give you an idea of what the sorts of activities you'll be doing, and it's a good chance to meet the teachers and learn a bit more about them. If you're worried, at lunchtime I've got to eat my lunch. If you are interested in a taster session, we will give you a temporary lunch pass that you can use for that day. We'll give it to you in the assembly in the morning. That means you can go straight to the front of the queue, grab your food and get straight to your taster session. Because obviously we know that you've got to eat, but you want to get to those sessions. So you will have a queue jump if you need it. Yes, you can take drama and art together as a combination. Nothing to worry about there. Will I get taken to taster sessions? No, you won't be taken to taster sessions. I will make sure that at the start of every assembly, the schedule of where they are and what days they're running, every day next week and the week after, they will be available. So that rota will be there, but you need to make your own way there. We will do a tannoy to remind you, but you need to make it there yourself. What subjects would you need to cater for the elderly? Health and social care would be the key one there. Oh, sorry. To be a carer, but yeah, health and social care would be the key subject for that one. Miss Varno leads that, so it'd be good to talk to her about that. What job can you do for film studies? Well, also anything in film and the media, really. So you could end up working for, I don't know, the BBC. You could end up working for a film production company. Remember, a lot of more people work in films than just actors. There's directors. There's people that help with the lighting. There's a cameraman. There's all these different jobs available through film studies. Asking about options. I've got a question there about wanting to do acting and questions about other options for careers. My advice would be at the Year 8 Parents and Carer Consultation Evening, I'll be there. Come and have a chat with me. I'll chat you through that. Hopefully as well, Mrs. Robertson, who's our careers lead, who works mainly with the older school, but does work with Year 8 as well, will be available as well. And we'll be able to talk you through some careers options as well. People worry about failing their GCSEs. Well, essentially, GCSEs, how they work, if you get a grade 4, that is known as a pass in the GCSE. If you get a grade 3, 2, or 1, that doesn't mean you don't get a GCSE. It just means that you haven't got it at level 2 standard. So what that means is basically, if you get maybe say 1s, 2s, 3s in your GCSEs, it doesn't mean you wouldn't be able to go to college or do an apprenticeship, but the level you enter at would be lower. That's why it's so important for pupils to get those grade 4s and above in their GCSEs. So then when they go to college, sixth form, apprenticeship, they start on level 3. They start on the next level. Otherwise, if they don't get those grades, they have to repeat level 2 courses at college. So they might be at college, but they're doing GCSE sort of level. And obviously, by the time you're 16, you want to be moving on to the next level. So that's something to bear in mind. What subject to work in the police or to become a police detective? Philosophy, religion, and ethics is quite good because that gets you to do a lot of critical thinking. It teaches you about other cultures that live in the UK, which is important. It's also a subject that's a lot about investigation and making inquiries into things. Citizenship would be really good as well because that's got a lot in it about the law, which obviously that would be useful. But to be honest with you, a broad range of subjects. So as long as you've got a broad range of subjects, you could still go into a career in the police. At GCSE level, they wouldn't expect you to have anything specific. They just want to see a good range of good qualifications, and that's the key thing here. Just do qualifications you know you enjoy and you can do well in. What's more important at this stage is that you've got a good level of qualification. You get good grades across all of the subjects. The specific subjects you pick, whilst important that you enjoy them, they won't necessarily have too big a detriment on your career. That's more at A level. Okay, when you get to A level, it is more important, or level 3 qualifications, because if you do want to go to university or something like that, or enter a certain career, they will expect you to have a certain qualification. So this is just the setup for A level. People asking about carers. Again, health and social care would be the best subject for someone who wants to be a carer. Is there an option to take a reduced amount of GCSEs? No, the reason we don't do that is because the government, as I explained earlier in the presentation, you have to fill all of those buckets. You have to fill bucket 1, 2, and 3, and that means really people should be studying 8 or 9 GCSE qualifications. For that reason, we don't narrow the curriculum because the government have mandated that that's what a pupil will need to be able to flourish later on in life and have the range of qualifications they need. If you are worried about certain subjects, I know obviously maths and English tend to be a concern. Don't worry. In year 11, we offer a wide suite of extra support. So in year 10 and year 11, there are extra intervention sessions in the morning. If a pupil is struggling in a certain subject, they get extra tutoring sessions in the morning. We also offer sessions after school. We offer holiday programs. So in half-term holidays, Easter holidays, things like that, we do lots of extra support. So if you are worried about your child in a certain subject, do not worry. We have an extensive program of support that becomes available in years 10 and year 11. So there'll be plenty of extra support available from teachers. Will choosing PE GCSE help with doing sports medicine in uni? It wouldn't hurt. You'll certainly learn about the science of the body in GCSE PE, and you'll learn about that. If you're interested in sports science, then yeah, GCSE PE would be a good option for you to pick. Is there any limit of how many taster sessions you can do? No, go to all of them. In fact, if you go to all of them, I think that'd be absolutely brilliant because you'd get the really good sense of all the subjects that are available on offer. So there's going to be about 10 taster sessions over the next 2 weeks. So go to as many as you want. There is only one per day, so don't worry. It's not like you'll have to choose. There's only one per day. How do you get reserved options, or do only some people get it? So on the form, you select your first 2 options, and then it asks you to select your 2 reserve options. Okay, then we've got them, we know them. If we can't do your top 2 choices, we will contact you directly, speak to you, and go, by the way, your reserve choice was this. Are you still happy with that? And you can change your mind at that point. That's fine. But we will talk to you. So don't worry. We're not just going to give you a reserve option and not talk to you about it. Okay, so we will make sure we chat about that. The best thing for IT, well, there are 2 choices. There's computer science, which focuses more on the coding, algorithms, building programs for computer. And then we have creative iMedia. That's more about design on computers, designing images, designing videos. If you're interested in the media aspect of IT, creative iMedia might be the better one to go for. Computer science has an assessment, just so to bear that in mind. Is drama a good subject to take? Absolutely. It's a GCSE. It's highly respected. You'll be doing a bit of practical work and non-exam assessments. You do performances and things like that. But there's also an essay-based element as well. So that's a brilliant one to do. Really helps with your English as well. Do Do you help high achieving students to get into major colleges, and what colleges have you helped students get into? Good question. Yeah, every year we do lots of work with our pupils that are aiming to go to sixth form. Each year we have pupils go to grammar schools. So we have pupils going to Southend and Westcliff Boys and Girls in Southend. We have lots of pupils that go to sixth form college, sixth form schools like King John, Appleton, Billericay, Bromfords, Mayflower. They go to a broad range of sixth forms locally. We have a lot of links with those schools. Appleton, Billericay and Bromfords all come into Woodland School in year 11 to talk to the pupils and see who might be interested in going there. And we do push pupils who want to go to the grammar schools. We give them a package of support to prepare them for interviews for those sixth forms, to prepare them for the academic demands of those courses. And each year we have a healthy number of pupils going off to either grammar schools or to academic sixth forms. So if your child is looking at perhaps the university route, perhaps the A-level route, we absolutely have a very extensive package of support available. And that begins mainly in year 11 and sort of towards the end of year 10 as well. Recommendations for the Royal Navy. Again, kind of like the police, they would be happy with whatever you select. The key thing is that you get a broad range of qualifications and you get good grades in those subjects. So pick the subjects you enjoy and you think you can do well in. They'll be much more concerned about you getting good qualifications than the type of qualification you pick at GCSE. Okay, but then when you get to A-level or apprenticeships, what have you, that's when you have to be a bit more specific. What do we do in business studies? Again, look at the booklet tomorrow because I'm not a business studies teacher, but effectively you learn how businesses operate and what makes them successful. Why do some businesses succeed while others go under? And you learn all about how to run a business. What is art GCSE based on? Is it more writing or actual drawing? It's mainly drawing. So there are two art options. There is art, craft and design option, and there is art, craft and design lens based. So if you are adamant that you want to do just arts, that's drawing, painting, things like that, then go for the art, craft and design option. I would recommend that if you're getting greater depth in art at the moment at Key Stage 3, that's probably the right one for you, okay? There is some writing, but there isn't a lot. It's when you do your portfolio, you have to make evaluative notes throughout your portfolio. So that's like a big book of all the art you've done. So there is some writing, but there's not loads. It is mainly practical based. Art, craft and design lens based is for pupils that think they might want to do art, but they're also interested in using lens based as well. So doing some elements of photography. It's still an art course, but you can do some photography as part of the course. If you're adamant you just want to do art, you pick art. If you are thinking, well, I might do art, but I might also want to do some photography stuff, then go for the lens-based option. And then if you decide eventually you want to focus more on the art than photography aspects, you can do that. That's no problem. Recommendations for being a flight attendant. Again, wouldn't matter too much we pick. It would be very important, ideally, if you can get a language. That always helps, of course. Yeah, maybe things like health and social care. But to be honest with you, again, that'll a broad range of qualifications where you've got good GCSEs. That will be the key thing there. There are courses when you get to year 11 and year 10, we'll talk to you more about the sorts of courses you might want to take at college if you want to be a flight attendant. For example, travel and tourism is an option available in college, which is something that you can't do at GCSE level, but we will help you apply for those courses. So we're talking about this process right now in year 8 for your year 9 GCSEs and level 2 qualifications. But we will have a similar conversation with you in year 11, where we're helping you decide your Key Stage 5 choices, your A-levels, apprenticeships, BTECs, whatever you decide to do. So we do this process again with you in year 11 when you take the next stage. Is Hair and Beauty a good one to say? Yeah, it's a really popular course, very popular. One of the most popular courses we do. It's got a nice mix of practical and theory. So if you're interested in hair and beauty, absolutely that's something to do. It also teaches you a bit about how to run a business in hair and beauty. So if that's something you're interested in, I would recommend that. What does the architecture GCSE involve? Again, I'm not a teacher of architecture, and that is Miss Head is the head of that department. But effectively, it's to do with making floor plans, so designing floor plans for a building, and really looking into what goes into the process of designing a building before it is built. So quite an interesting subject. Do we have a sixth form? We don't have a sixth form. Because we're in Compass Trust. Oh, do you have to do sixth form? Thank you. No, you don't have to do sixth form. At Key Stage 5, you can go to sixth form, you can go to a college, or you can do an apprenticeship. So apprenticeship's kind of work-based. You get a qualification and you're working. You get a small wage for that. It's not much, but you do get a wage for that. College, there is a mix of A levels, but you can also do vocational courses if you're interested in media or hair and beauty or travel and tourism or game design even. There's a wide range of courses available at college, or you can go down the sixth form route, which is where you go to a school where they have a sixth form and you do year 12 and 13 there. And that's more traditional A levels and BTECs and things like that. But we will talk to you about all of those options. But no, you don't have to do sixth form. It's completely up to you what you decide to do. What do you do in psychology? Psychology is a science, okay? Some people don't realize this. It is the study of the brain. Now, there is some writing involved because you look at studies of psychological experiments and things like that. But yeah, you do have, it is a science, okay? So bear that in mind if you're looking to take it. If you want to take psychology, you need to be pretty confident in science. Head of Hair and Beauty is, I forgot Mrs. Dennis. Sorry, I forgot her second name for a second there. Mrs. Dennis, she's over in the hair and beauty studio most of the time. So you can talk to her. You will meet all of the heads of department over the next 2 weeks in these options assemblies. So if you're not sure who they are, don't worry, because you're going to meet them over the next 2 weeks. Anyway, and in year 10, do you do work experience? Yes, you do a week of work experience towards the end of year 10. Worth thinking about what sort of things you want to go into. If you can pick something in your work experience related to your options, that's great. But yeah, you do that towards the end of year 10. And again, we'd have an evening with you where we explain all of that to you in that process as well. That's all to come for you guys. There's plenty more of these sorts of events for careers. Choosing your work experience. We'll talk to you more about that in year 10. You've got a while, so don't worry too much. But effectively, we provide a range of work experience opportunities that we know are available in the local area, or you can find your own. So either way, we'll support you with that. But don't need to worry about that too much yet. We've got a while yet. Okay, if I don't get any more questions, we've got to run a little bit over time there. So I'm just conscious that we may need to finish in a second. I'll just wait. Looks like everything's been answered. If you feel that a question hasn't been answered, do feel free to email me. My email will be on the PowerPoint that we'll send out. And my email is also available on the school website. This presentation will also be on the school website tomorrow, hopefully, with the options booklet. That just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you taking time out of your evening to join us tonight. Obviously, it's very important that your child gets the support from home to make sure they make the right choices. So I really appreciate you taking the time to invest in these choices that your child's making. And hopefully over the next few months, it's an exciting process for them and they can go from strength to strength as they move through the school. Thanks very much.